3, 2, 1, go. Yes, that actually sounds correct now. So again, this is Odyssey. Starts out with Mario getting shot at this guy by Bowser. This top hat is here to save him. This is Cappy. He's gonna kind of turn into Mario's hat, and then we can use him for lots and lots and lots of stuff. So rolling is the most effective form of movement, but unfortunately it requires motion controls, so it gets a little awkward. So this cutscene is just Cappy becoming Mario's hat, and then we're just going to roll through here. Do a long jump there to be safe. If you roll a little too early and you end up under the bridge, you'll clip through it and die, which is not really that fun. Dying a minute into your run. So Cappy's like main function is to be thrown, and this can be used to capture enemies also. So we're going to capture a frog here, and then just climb up this tower. I'm going to try and get a lot of coins for reasons I'll explain later. So I mean, it really doesn't matter how many I get now, but I'll need 200 in total later. Nice. Good start with a bonk. And another. That was a tactical bonk to get more coins. Of course. So this is our first This is our first brutal friend. They're Bowser's wedding planners, and this is Topper. So his main fight is you knock the hats off his head, then hit him. So that was a kind of bad fight. You can cancel the second phase where the hats were kind of just like rolling around early by jumping on it, but I missed it. So I'll have another chance later, like about an hour from now, or less. And in case you didn't know yet, this is Super Mario Odyssey. So next we're going to go to the Cascade Kingdom, where we're going to get our first Power Moon. It's called our first Power Moon. So I have a couple cutscenes to skip here. And this one introduces the kingdom. Cappy says he liked being in the power line. So we're going to capture this chain chomp, use it to break that rock, and unveil the Power Moon. So lately I've been getting hit by that chain chomp, so I had to try and play it safe there. So now the bridge is going to fall. We're going to see the Odyssey in its like destroyed form. We need Power Moons to repair it and to get it going again, which is what we're going to do. So if you noticed, after I got the moon, it healed me because I took damage in the Topper fight. Every time that happens, it's 2 seconds of time loss, so I'm going to try and not take as much damage as possible before I get a moon. Multi-moons, which are 3 in 1, do not cause this lag, so it's kind of like okay. So here's a dinosaur. We're going to be using it to skip a majority of this level, called Dino Skip. So I'm going to use this trampoline here. Get up really high, and then throw myself into the boss battle. So this boss battle is basically just grabbing a chain chomp and hitting Madame Brutal, or Madame Brood, I think. So if you jump on the chain chomp while he's like coming at you, you can kind of stop him and catch him earlier. And sometimes, if you're not far enough, or if you're just barely not far enough, it won't actually work. So that was an overall pretty okay fight. So then she's going to drop a multi-moon, just 3 at once, and then we're going to get teleported back to the Odyssey. I believe every multi-moon does this. We're going to be getting a couple during the run. So when you get a multi-moon, you get teleported back to the Odyssey, but we needed 5 moons to repair it, and we only have 4. So I got to get 1 more, and then we'll be back and good to go. So we have long cutscenes after the grand moons in Japanese. Also, I'm playing on Japanese because it's faster, like a lot of games that exist. So I'm going to grab 1 more. I couldn't have gotten this one before because it didn't spawn until I got the multi-moon. That is the case with a couple kingdoms. But not too many. Mainly this one, because this one's kind of the most linear kingdom that isn't like a strict boss battle. So now that we've prepared the Odyssey, we can move to the next kingdom, which is Sand Kingdom. We have lots of long cutscenes that are unskippable. And now we have a good-looking Odyssey. So here's the map, like kingdom selection screen. Every other kingdom you can go to does not require you to actually press right, except this one. So if you're just mashing A, Cappy will tell you that we were just at Cascade, we need to go to Sand. Which is kind of annoying when you're kind of just mindlessly mashing. And then here, Cappy's going to want to pull up the action guide, which tells you all the moves, but we're just going to exit out of that as soon as possible. If you're mashing B, it will work. If you're mashing A, it won't. So now we're going to arrive at the Sand Kingdom, where they're a desert, but they're iced over. We're not actually going to solve their case, unfortunately, because we just need moons. So we need a certain amount of moons. I think it's 16. So there's a bird that I'm going to try and get. Alright. So if I missed that, it would have been about 15 seconds to have to get it later. Because I would need to get it after I go into this pipe. So thankfully I got that. So if you ground pound or roll into a pipe, you'll have a faster animation, which is what I'm going to try and do every time. This one, there's like rumbles in the floor, but the moon's always in the same spot, so I know where it is. Then we're kind of just going to go on some moon collecting missions, get this one on the dune. This one's kind of finicky in its location because it's right in the middle, but got it. You kind of just get a feel for it after a while. Now I'm going to jump on this ice block. Maybe? There we go. I'm going to get on the arch. Also, some moons, about like half in each kingdom, are only unlocked post-game, so I can't actually get those here. I'm going to try and go on the left of this to, I definitely missed it there. I'm going to try and get the bullet bill in a good spot where it doesn't explode, because I'm going to need it later. But I think I took too much time, and yeah, it exploded. So, each of those cycles is about 8 seconds. Especially when they don't spawn. So I'm going to use this to get to this pillar all the way back here. The last round I did this, I somehow missed the moon. That's, I guess, possible. But thankfully we got the really easy one. So we have another ground pound moon here. It's in the lost luggage, because there's a taxi frozen in ice. Or it's a car, but no, it's a taxi. It just looks blue. So formerly we used to go through the Sphinx. I'm not doing Sphinx clip, by the way, because that's very difficult. So the Sphinx usually has about 50 to 60 coins in it, which is used later because we're going to be buying 2 coins in total. Each are 100. So I am not going through that. So I won't have enough coins to go through the route as normal. So we're going to be buying moons in Wooded, which is the next kingdom, or 2 kingdoms from now, and Snow later. But I should be okay for later, as long as I don't accidentally pick Snow Kingdom. So we're going to use the bullet bill to break the box here. And then we're going to use them to grab 2 more moons. This one's kind of scary because if I miss it, I die. Alright, good. Alright. That chest has 50 coins, really helpful for later. Now we're going to pick up the arguably best capture in the game, a cactus. We're going to move to the back a little bit, and then he'll be gone forever. Also in this game, motion controls are heavily used, like a lot of Nintendo games. So if you shake the Joy-Con or the Pro Controller, whatever you're using, when you throw out Cappy, it'll home in on an enemy, or like a capture target, which is very helpful in some cases. I'll be using one next kingdom in Lake to avoid a spring. That's kind of awkward. Unfortunately, Cappy can't pick up moons. That would be incredible if he could. And now I can warp back to the Odyssey. I don't really know if warping or rolling back is faster. They're probably about the same. So that was Sand Kingdom. That was the first longer one. Pretty much every other kingdom is like long, short, with how many moons you need. So unskippable cutscenes as usual. And next we're going to get to a fork in the road where you can pick Lake or Wooded. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pick Lake because it's the first text option. It will matter later when I get another choice to pick Snow or Seaside, because I need to go Seaside first, it's the bottom option. And if I pick Snow, I need to grind for coins because I'm not going to have enough, which is unfortunate. So in Lake, there's honestly not too much to speak of. We're going to be fighting another Brutal at the end to get the multi-moon, just because it's most convenient. So I could have possibly hit that zipper off of a triple jump. It's kind of risky. So just to be safe, I did that. So now we're going to pick up a Cheep Cheep and then get the last couple moons. I think you only need 8 in this kingdom, and a good amount of those are just underwater. So when you press both Y and B, or X and A, I think, at the same time, you'll like do a little water dash, which is pretty good for movement. Also, when you shake, you spin, or yeah, you spin and it's an attack, but it also picks up moons that are like buried. I think it counts as a ground pound mood, and you can pick up moons with it. So now I'm gonna try what's like called Cheep Cheep Jump. It's kind of difficult. Alright, I missed it. Cheep Cheep was out of nowhere. So what I tried to do is get to that platform. Also, that sometimes just eats your input because I think there's too many entities in the area, and it just can't handle it. So it likes to just take out your dive input and you'll miss it completely, like what happened there. So now we have Rango, the second Brutal that we fight. His fight's fairly easy. We're just going to backflip a lot. He does the same pattern. And that's the fight. So he's going to drop a multi-moon. We're going to go back to the Odyssey and be done with Lake. So up next is Wooded, which is another longer one. It's also going to end in a brutal fight. We're gonna be fighting all 4 brutals, but kind of not in order. So in Sand there was a brutal fight, but we skipped it because it was slow. So we'll see that one later though. So then in Wooded, it's kind of a lot of like nifty movement. Really not a lot to speak of, but we'll see. So to start off here, we're gonna have we're gonna be chasing a rabbit, kind of reminiscent of Mips in Super Mario 64, except a lot easier because Cappy can stun him. So I'm just gonna throw Cappy at him and then run into him to get the moon. It's fairly easy. And then here, there's going to be a rock that usually you just like run into a lot. But if you run it into another rock, it'll just explode instantly. And that one has a moon in it. There's a couple of those like throughout the game, but this one's really convenient. So now we're going to buy our first moon. This is kind of made for like more like casual players to be able to get ahead, like finish up their kingdom faster. But it's just convenient because it's an easy moon. We have enough coins for it right now, and that's that. So I'm going to climb up this waterfall. We're going to get up here. So normally, I believe you're expected to use an uproot, which we're going to get in a second, to just get up there, but we can also just do some Cappy bounces on there. So this is an uproot. He's an onion that stretches, pretty much. He's kind of just used for getting into tall places. If you roll into one of these nuts, you break it instantly. Same with ground pounding. I think diving as well. So now we're going to go underwater and go through this flooded pipeway, which is fairly difficult to do well. Like, you can do like the second part without even using the water, which is very tricky because all these fuzzies, they like to hit you. Yeah. So I'm kind of in a bad spot here, but got it. I've died in here a couple times just because the fuzzies are kind of relentless. So I'm going to ground pound on the pipe that's going to come out, and right before it disappears, we can get enough height to climb up here. And then kind of just climb to the top, theoretically. Alright. So now we're going to use the uproot to break blocks and get another moon. So now the first like story moon we're gonna get, which is like the regular moon with a cutscene, is killing this piranha plant. However, we're not gonna get the moon just yet because we're gonna take a little detour here to get this moon. If you like were to bonk, you can if you were to bonk into a moon, you kind of like remove any like bonk lag. One bonk is a couple seconds, so it's kind of significant. So now we're gonna get the story moon and then progress. There's a skip here that's called P switchless, which is fairly difficult. It involves a triple jump off of that top left corner to skip the like flower platform that I'm gonna trigger here, but it's fairly unsafe, and I'm kind of bad at it anyways. It's just a lot safer to do this. It does lose a little bit of time, but it's just worth it. Alright, so we're gonna get our last one out here, and then we're gonna go into the tower. I don't actually know what it's called. There's another flower bridge that we could have used there, but this jump's really safe. Oh, okay. So we're gonna grab our last uproot. And I'm gonna try and do a little minor skip here to get to that top platform right above me. So if I stretch right at the edge, right before I fall off, I can climb a little higher. I'll try this one more time. One more time. Alright. For some reason it's not working, so I'm just gonna take the really low way. Unfortunately. That usually doesn't happen. Ooh, this guy's not cooperating with me today. But if you shake the controller, he'll climb a little higher, which is what's used for that little skip. So now we're going to go to our next brutal. I think it's like Spewer or something. He's really easy. He kind of like spits out poison, but it's not really a problem. Unless I miss, which is likely, honestly. This fight's super easy, but with anything easy comes mistakes. So that's that brutal fight. We're gonna see him again later in a theoretically more difficult fight, but it's the exact same thing. So that's the multi-moon. That'll finish off our required moons count, and then we can just go to the next kingdom. So sometimes when you get like one multi-moon, another one will trigger, which means there's a cutscene. So kind of gotta be diligent to skip that. That happens a couple times when you like aren't finished with the story for that kingdom yet. So up next we're gonna go to Metro. However, Bowser does have other plans for us. He's gonna give us a pit stop real quick. Into Cloud Kingdom, where we're gonna fight him for the first time. The Bowser fights are fairly easy. It's gonna be taking his hat and then hitting with his own hat. So once I get here, it will trigger the fight. So I'm gonna hit this first platform, skip the last because they're not necessary. So then here we have Bowser. There's actually like a really fast strat you can do with these hats to backflip into them, but I'm not really confident enough to do that right now. If you hit him before he does his like next move, which is usually jumping to another platform, you can just hit him out of that, and he won't move. And that's the case in each of the Bowser fights. You can also dive and roll with the hat on, which is interesting, because you do get a lot of movement options with it as well. And when you dive, it does also punch. You can punch with either X, Y, or motion controls. I usually just mash both X and Y at the same time, because it's most convenient, and motion controls are really awkward for this fight. So I usually just dive into him, hit him a lot. He's going to throw up a shield on this last one, and then attack, and that's the fight. So it's going to be very similar later in the next Bowser fight. So again, Bowser shoots our Odyssey out of the sky, and now we're going to end up in Lost Kingdom, where there's a very tricky jump right at the beginning. Kind of going to take like a safe-ish strat, where I'm just going to go to the tree and do a triple jump here onto this platform. So what I'm doing is actually bypassing the trigger for Klepto. If I was to go the intended way, Klepto would actually grab Cappy, and I couldn't really do anything. But because I'm above him, he doesn't really see me, and we can kind of just go about as normal. So Klepto's kind of just hanging out over there on his perch, and we're gonna go disrupt him. So doing this kind of disables the Klepto grabbing your hat like possibility at all. So now I can safely go where he would normally pick up Cappy with no issues. So like here. If I hadn't done that, he would pick Cappy up and I need to go beat him and save Cappy. So this guy is going to do this. I can also like hit myself if he's in a bad spot, but not doing that saves a bit of time. Just because the taking hit animation and the moon heal. So I have two options here. I could use that other grabber guy to break that crate up there, or I could just go in here. So now for the last moon, it's situated under a bridge. You're intended to use one of the rainbow wigglers, but we can long jump and dive into it. So this is kind of weird. Alright, cool, I got it. So usually you just take a death there, it's not really a big deal. But you can also do that deathless, which doesn't really save a lot of time, like a very little bit. And you also save 10 coins. So when you die, you lose 10 coins. There's no lives in this game, it's only coins. So doing that doesn't really help a lot, but it does a bit for later. Conserving coins is fairly important. So up next, we're finally going to go into Metro, where this is probably the most difficult kingdom for running because of the first bit, which is called Night Metro, where a Mecha Wiggler is kind of just hanging out on top of the City Hall, I think, and we gotta stop him. So I can do a little skip here involving jumping off of this awning and getting to the top of the building. I fell down way too much there for some reason. There we go. I'm going to long jump to this moon. Alright. Now we're going to get up to this other roof on the left here. And then long jump to where we need to go. So normally if I hadn't done that, I would have to go up some stairs, which is kind of long and annoying. But we don't have to do that. So that moon on the right, I could get here, but it's kind of better to do later. It'll be there. So now we have the City Hall interior, which is not a fun time. I'm going to wait for this elevator to come down, because I need to be up here anyways. And I can do this. Then climb this pole pretty much all the way to the top. Alright. So then I'm going to kind of do a leap of faith here. Off to the end. That was really close. So that saves a good bit of time by not having to like go all the way around it. So I'm going to cancel that early just to get a little bit more time. And then we have the Mega Wiggler fight. So we're going to be using these tanks that have kind of bad controls and hit these lighted up parts on the Wiggler. And if I do it fast enough, I can kind of manipulate his position. So I'm going to sit in this corner here to minimize the amount that the Wiggler moves. So shorter, or the less he moves, the shorter it is, of course. Now I'm going to move to the other corner. It's going to do the same thing. And this one's kind of weird. He's going to move over here. And his like wormhole's going to appear on the wall, but he's actually going to go through there, which is kind of strange. But it happens. So now I'm going to try and get a 2 cycle, which means finishing the fight without having to go through it again, which should be possible. Yeah. So that was a pretty okay 2 cycle. The fireballs kind of gave me an issue, but not really a big deal. You can hit the fireballs, but it does waste a little bit of time. And that is the end of Night Metro. So after this, daytime is restored to Metro because apparently the Wiggler was causing nighttime and rain, I guess, for some reason. So now like the rest of the city is kind of unlocked for us to roam around in and get moons. So the main objective is to talk to Pauline, kind of get a band together and go to the festival. But we're only going to get half of the band, just because it's convenient for us. I'm going to do a little skip here. I'm going to throw Cappy out, get this moon, and then hopefully I can home in on that light post. Alright, I missed it. But you can kind of like remote capture this from where the moon is. And that saves a bit of time. So we have the RC car. Controls horribly. Alright. So what I tried to do there is kind of go in that corner, then reverse into the moon, and I was off by a little bit. So now I'm just kind of going to move through the city. If I can get this moon. I'm going to grab this pole, which gives us a lot of momentum, onto the bench. Sit next to this lonely guy who gives us a moon just because we're nice. And do some more movement. I'm going to warp back to the top of the City Hall. Cap is going to tell us how to warp with checkpoints, because when I warped in sand, I hadn't triggered any checkpoints. So that didn't actually cause that dialogue to appear. So I'm going to do another long jump off to this dumpster. Gonna get this one now. Could have gotten it earlier, like I said, but not too convenient. This part is kind of very annoying. Just climbing up here is not fun. These ledges are non-existent pretty much. There we go. Alright. That's kind of a pain. Get the one all the way on top. Jump down to the pool. Actually barely got that one. And ground pound in the cafe. There's a couple of visual cues for where that is. Now we're going to go to a subsection where you're kind of intended to jump over everyone, but we can just roll to the side, and it works perfectly fine. Which kind of eliminates all like the randomness out of that. Get the second moon here. Every subsection has 2 moons, I believe, until post-game. Then some have more. And now we're finally going to go talk to Pauline and attempt to get this festival started. So there's 4 musicians around the city. We need to talk to all of them, and then we can start the festival. But there's only 2 in really good locations, so we'll just talk to them. Roll out of there because that's a forced warp. And now we can get our last 2 moons. The first one's on the remnants of the Mecha Wiggler. That NPC next to him is like, I feel bad, but like not really. Just kind of how I feel. Now we have the bassist. And now that we're done, let's warp back to the Odyssey. And end Metro. So after this, we're going to get the option to go to Snow or Seaside. I believe it's here. I'm going to pick Seaside. And I'm going to take my time with it just in case. If you accidentally lock in on Snow, you can't go back, so you're required to go there, which kind of hurts. Thankfully, I have a lot of coins here, so if I had accidentally gone there, it wouldn't be a big deal. I still would have lost a lot of time, but not too much, because I have like 89 coins or something. But I didn't. We're here in Seaside, which is a fairly short kingdom. Right away, I'm going to turn around. Then do this kind of difficult jump to get this moon. You're intended to use another capture for that, but we don't have to. This one's another one of those rumble in the ground to get the moon things. This one's directly here. So like I said, rolling through the pipe makes it go a little faster. This one also you're intended to use another capture, but we don't have to. Aw, barely missed that. What can I do here? There we go. Also, after you get a moon, your Cappy bounce limit is reset. So normally when you're in the air, you can only bounce off of Cappy once. But if you get a moon, you can do it after that as well. So this is probably the hardest moon in the game. Staying in a straight line, honestly really difficult. I've messed that up too many times when it actually mattered. Thankfully we got it though. So this guy's called the Gushin. He's only used for one purpose, and that's kind of going fast, so sorry. He can also go up, which is what those other 2 moons I got, he was kind of intended to use for that. But now we're back to the Cheep, because they're great underwater. And the reason we go to Seaside over Snow first is because this is a giant coin cache. And this should put most people over 100 if you haven't died like 10 times or something. Because you get around 30, I think. Yeah, looks to be around 30 or 40. So and those guys are kind of dangerous. Gonna go under Dory. Then we're gonna spin into these things. Fortunately take damage because he wanted to just run right at me. And get the moon. Now our last moon in Seaside is in this tunnel here. My camera can cooperate. There we go. And that's that. So if you notice I'm kind of like zooming out the map, that just reduces the distance to the warp. It's very negligible, but I guess it counts. So now we're going to go to Snow, where there's really not much to do there either. Both of these are kind of smaller kingdoms. But the movement there is pretty neat. So in Snow Kingdom, there's a like blizzard going on that kind of just reduces visibility completely, which is kind of annoying. But we're only going to be outside for 1 moon. That's to talk to our friend Captain Toad, who hopefully we'll see if I don't block him off. So yeah, there's a pretty bad storm. We're supposed to go into the city, which we'll do in a minute. I meant to roll more than that, but angle was kind of weird. Alright, here's Captain Toad. Sorry, Captain Toad. We saw him for a little bit. He gives us a moon for talking to him. He's in a majority of kingdoms. I don't think all of them, but he's in the most. And he just gives you a moon for talking to him. And then usually he gets confused on how to leave wherever he is. I don't think in this case. I think here he just says it's really cold. But in Lake Kingdom, he's like underwater. He's like, I don't know how to get back. So you kind of feel a little bad for him. So right away, we're going to get this moon right at the entrance. Then we're going to buy another moon. So these guys are really friendly. You can talk to them from a very far distance. And that's that. And now I'm going to do another little skip where we're going to go up to the top using this umbrella. I feel like this one was almost intended to do, because on the other side there's a couple coins that are leading up there. So rolling here is kind of awkward because the terrain's really like bumpy, so it kind of just leads you off track really quickly. So the story here is that Bowser blocked off the Shiveria racing track. So we're going through these barriers and kind of removing them. But we're only going to do 2. There we go. Again, each of these subsections has 2 moons. So that was the first, and the second one is to knock all of these spinies off with this wind blowy guy. And that's the first one. Actually, we're gonna go to 3 barriers, but we're only gonna actually get the story moon for 2 of them. The last one's just in a good spot. If we were to get the story moon for that one, we would need to fight another brutal, which is really slow. Alright. Almost bonked on that door. So then here's the Goombas. There's a button over there on the right that we need to have 4 Goombas in a stack to access. So we're going to do that. If you lose a Goomba here, you can't get it back. I don't think they respawn. So you kind of just need to either take a death or leave the area, which is very annoying. Ice is really slippery. And then we're going to get one more, and then that'll be it for Snow Kingdom. So that's 2 barriers gone. So you kind of can get like a little roll there into the pipe like I did. It's kind of tricky and like not really reliable. Oh, okay. Bonk on the edge there. So up top of this is a brutal fight. We're just going to skip that entirely. And then warp back to the Odyssey again. So in this game we need 124 moons total to reach the end. So we're kind of getting close, but there's still a good amount of content left. By about half hour-ish, depending on where I'm at time-wise. So next is going to be the last major kingdom, Luncheon. And we're going to be getting a lot of moons here. And they're all fairly annoying. So right off the bat, I'm going to be doing a kind of difficult jump. It's called Salt Pile Jump, where I'm going to kind of just cover a lot of vertical height with a couple jumps. Alright, got it. So if you're like kind of learning this game and having trouble with that, waiting to dive onto Cappy after throwing him apparently like increases your height. So don't jump on Cappy immediately. If you wait a little bit, it'll work better, which is interesting, but that's a thing. But apparently it is. So now we have this guy again. He's no harder than before. I kind of just jumped into him a little too early and took the hit, which is unfortunate. Alright, well, I tried to get the heart to save time, but apparently that's not what the game wanted me to do. So right now I don't really need any more coins. That one in snow was the last one we're gonna buy. So I really don't care if I get them or not. So the game kind of like uses coins as a life system, but you can't game over. So if you were to die when 0 coins, nothing really happens, which is kind of interesting. So we're gonna jump down here. go into this area and get one moon really, really fast. So yeah, that one's kind of just trivial. It's a good spot. Ooh. Come on, grab the ledge. So this kind of skips a little bit of unnecessary platforming. And then we're going to go into the town, I think. It's a town. Just going to use this fork to get up. Cappy's also good at homing in on boxes that may contain moons. So we're going to use that there to avoid ground pounding into one. This middle turnip is gold. It'll give us a moon. There is 3 of those throughout the level, I believe. Ooh. Alright, that was kind of weird. Got caught underneath it. No, I don't want to talk to you. So you can jump with both B and A. If you're jumping with B, you can't trigger text boxes like that. So after I grab this lava bubble, I have 2 options to for the next part, but I'm gonna go to the. I'm not gonna go to the forks. I know that's becoming like more popular because it might save like a very small amount of time. I don't even know. But just gonna go with the magma room, which we'll see later. So next we're gonna get a hammer bro. There is a newer skip found where you can grab a turnip and avoid this entire section, but it's fairly difficult. So we're just gonna pull the lever. And get the moon. So now it's kind of like the last part of luncheon. I grab a bubble here, light the flame. I was in a really weird spot for that. And now we're gonna go into the magma room. Where there's some pretty cool movement here. So if you hit those tomato things, they kind of explode into, I guess, hot liquid that you can use this bubble in. Shaking the controller dashes. So I'm going to do that to avoid damage boosting, which is more reliable, but takes the time for the heal animation. So that saves a little bit of time and it looks pretty cool. Alright. Some weird terrain there. And actually no, this is the best capture in the game. A giant hunk of meat. And that's all it's used for. So what we basically did is, I think it's called like cookatiel or something. We had him bring us into this pot to get the multi-moon. And the next one in the story is to fight the bird, but we're not going to do that. So that's luncheon. And now we can go to Bowser's Kingdom. But again, Bowser has other plans, as he always does. So we can't get there quite yet. So now we're at 113 moons. So Bowser made a new friend while we were on our journey, and we're gonna see him in just a second. He made a very big friend. Unfortunately, we're not gonna watch the cutscene, but that cutscene is great. So we have a dragon. It's a realistic dragon. Just kind of strange for a Mario game, in my opinion. So I'm kind of just opening these hearts really for no reason. I'm going to damage boost onto the dragon in order to just get up there faster. And then we're going to activate his things, knock that off, hit his head, and repeat 2 more times. So like I feel this boss had could have had a lot more potential than it does. It's honestly really lame. But it is a Mario boss, so I mean it can't be extremely difficult, I guess. But I'm gonna damage boost a couple more times. Do the same thing over and over again. And then we're done. I think this kingdom also has the least moons in it, like total. I think there's like 6 maybe. Alright, I didn't really want to take another hit there, but I still bonked, so it's not too much better. Alright, and that's the dragon fight. I think he's called like the Lord of Lightning or something, which is pretty interesting. Again, I feel like he has more potential. So we only needed 3 moons, we got 3 moons, that's all. There's no way you could have gotten 3 moons before this, so we needed to fight the boss. I think only 1 is available right now before that, so it's not worth getting. Because any moons gotten in a kingdom don't kind of like carry over. So say if you're about to go into Metro and you had like 10 excess, you would still need however many Metro requires. So you can't really like skip a kingdom, which is fairly reasonable. Alright, so Odyssey's repaired again. It's looking a bit worse than it used to be, but that's alright. So now we're finally going to go into Bowser's Kingdom. And this one's pretty long. So first thing we're going to do is roll a lot. Past all these Goombas. And I guess take one out too. Sorry. So these are Pokeos. I'm not going to be doing that 1 moon down there because I haven't had much success with it. So I'll be doing another one later. Now we have the Womp. He looks a bit different than he used to. And that's the first story moon. There's like 4 story moons in here. They're all really long, which is unfortunate because none of them are skippable. So next we're gonna get moon shards, where I think they've appeared elsewhere. I think they were in Lake, but this is gonna be our first time getting them. So when we grab one, Cappy's gonna be like, "This is a moon shard. Use it." So if you get 5 of them, you get a moon, basically. You can also home in on them, which is nice. Oh, this is weird. Alright. So I'm going to use this Pokio to save a little bit of backtracking time. To get this one. And then we're going to hit a bomb here to get the last one. That's kind of awkward. I didn't really mean to get stuck in the wall there. So hopefully I can get this next bomb. Alright, perfect. So we're gonna stick our nose in the suspicious hole and get a moon for it. Alright. So that's the next story moon. There's one more than a multi-moon. And then I'm gonna get one more moon after this. And then the rest are required. I think you only need 8 in Bowser's. Yeah. So now we're gonna have some brutal fights revisited. We're actually gonna do one we haven't seen yet, but this one's Topper, who we saw way back at Cap Kingdom. And he's a bit harder because he has a lot more hats now. But if we hit him twice, he's gonna do this spinning move, and we can hit him right out of that. Fortunately, I missed the skip every time. Where is he? This one. Oh. He's in one of them. Alright, there we go. After a while, he kind of just gives up and... Alright. So that was a kind of iffy fight. I didn't really get any skips. It's fairly difficult. This next one's going to be a little easier, I think. So this one's Harriet, I think her name is. And she's got a couple bombs she's going to want to throw at us. I'm going to try and hit him early, like before they hit the ground, to kind of just make it last, or make it a little shorter. Also, hitting those bombs ends that phase. Those are extremely easy to hit. And we're going to do that one more time, and then she will be down. Oops. Alright. That was almost bad. I'm going to try and not die here. Alright, good. That lava spot was really worrying me, but that was pretty close. So checkpoints also heal you completely, but and without like any lag. But I think here just getting the moon will be a little faster. So if possible, heal with checkpoints, not moons. Or multi-moons, I guess, you can use. Or just hearts if they're lying around in a convenient spot, I suppose. Yeah, I'll take that hit from the bomb, fortunately. Alright, now we're gonna grab our last Pokio. Hopefully. And kind of just climb up the wall. To do this, like, big jump, you just do motion control, or you just shake the controller, and it'll do a fairly high jump. Alright, so that's the wall. And now we have the hardest boss in the game, the Mecha Brutal. So what I'm going to try and do is do it birdless, which means kind of going to try and climb it as Mario. You're not intended to at all. Alright, so I think I missed that. Yeah, I'm just going to take the bird and do it a safer way. Because if I tried to go for that, it would probably take too long. So I'm going to hit the first Brutal, and then I'm going to try and stay on the mecha. So it's going to knock me off. I'm going to jump back onto it and then stay on it. And I'm going to repeat that 3 times. That was weird. Alright, cool. So if you are on it when it like bucks you off, you're kind of guaranteed to stay on it, because you just get knocked back at like a set height, and you're way high up to stay on it, which is good. So in this phase, he kind of just runs at you. He's invincible, and now I can hit this guy. I don't think I'll be able to get back on it. Unless I get a lucky land. No, that's okay. So unfortunately, I'll be losing a good bit of time here because I need to wait for the bird to come out. These things are really annoying. Alright. So what I can try and do is climb his side here. I knocked me off way too far. Ooh, where am I? Alright. That was not what I wanted. This fight can either go really well or really, really, really bad. Unfortunately, this didn't go too great. Especially when he does that. That's a really weird spot. Alright. So that'll end the fight. Honestly, not too great, but it's alright. Doing that fight well takes a lot of practice, and it's really difficult, so at least getting some of the skips is good. So really, really long cutscene here. Gonna get a multi-moon, then we'll be done. So now we find out that Bowser's escaped to the moon, and now we gotta go to the moon and stop him. So the moon is intended to be a lot longer than I'm gonna make it, because there's an entire subsection that's like more or less an auto-scroller that we're just not gonna do at all. I'm gonna do something called moon skip, which just invalidates all of the moon pretty much. Alright. So on the moon, as you would expect, there's lower gravity, which is pretty helpful for just long jumps. Skipping lots of cutscenes. Mario looks very dapper. This is the only time we actually change our costume. This game's pretty big on having a lot of costumes, but we don't need any of them. Alright. Well, that's the first death. Actually kind of surprised that missed. That was really, really close to the ledge. Alright, let's try that again. Okay, that should be good. Alright. Kind of slow. I'm gonna try and skip over this thing. I'm gonna grab a flower, rocket flower, which I did get earlier, just increases your speed. And now we're gonna get ready to do moon skip, which is not too hard, I don't think. So this Sphinx is just tall enough so we can do this. That's probably not gonna make it. No. So what I'm trying to do is wall jump off of 2 walls in order to get enough height to skip all of the moon caves. There we go. Alright. Need to make sure to not miss that. Done that once. Like, did the skip and then just fell off. So we're gonna knock down the door and finally confront Bowser. So he's gonna start off with his hat being thrown right at me. And now he's gonna now he's gonna spit fire 3 times. He's gonna move. But the fire hitbox is really, really tiny. It's like only on the ground, so you can kind of just jump through it. No damage. So same as the first fight, he's just gonna throw hats at us. I love how he's so surprised that like we grabbed it. Now he's gonna do 2. And now 5 fires. I think if you're like up here when he's doing fire, he'll kind of like reset his animation. But if you're low enough, he won't do that. So that's 5. Now we have the last hit of Bowser. That's kind of weird. Alright. Well, missed that, so he's just gonna jump again. No big deal. Okay, that's where I wanted it to go the first time. Alright. 1, 2, 3. Now he's got another shield. And that's Bowser fight. Tried to skip a little early there. So, now we get to become Bowser. Shaking controllers, there's a fireball, which is pretty good for just long range hits. I'm gonna try and skip some of this. Okay. There's a shortcut in here called 2D shortcut. Saves 2 seconds. If you miss, you die and lose like a minute. So definitely not gonna go for that. Also never actually done it. Nice. So what the 2D shortcut is, I didn't even try and do it, but you break that bottom block, the one that I like first jumped off of, and you kind of go under it, and then you jump onto the top block, and then you skip. It's fairly complicated. I have not died on 2D section in a long time. Alright. Let's do this a little safer now. Alright. Oh my god. Alright, let's try that a third time. I was probably like on PB pace too. Like really? Oh, definitely was not on PB pace. Wow. I thought I was doing a lot better than I was. This will probably be a 118 then. Wow. I'll try not to die. I'll tell you when. If you stand still, Bowser hits a little faster. So for reference, my PB is a 113.55. I thought this run was actually a lot better than it was. Okay, I got it. A little bit more to go. Let's play it really safe. Alright, there we go. That's a fun section. It's not. Alright. So here we have the final section where we gotta break 4 pillars and then the middle, and then we're done. So I'm gonna hit that one 4 times. I think only 3 are actually gonna hit. So I'm not gonna do it 5 times because the camera will get really screwed up later, which I don't want. I almost lost my PB to that. There's a hole there. Careful not to jump in. If I was to die here, I'd have to start all over again, I believe. That not hit? Hello? Okay, that first one should have hit. Alright, and then time is on when you like actually like, yeah, when you shoot off. So it should be like a 1-7, this is like a 118 probably. And time. 118.26, wow. That went a lot worse than I expected, but it was alright. So that's Odyssey. Up next we have the PC block, so setup will take a little bit longer. I'll leave the credits to roll. I think I can do that. And that's it for me. Thanks.